Hello and welcome to the Frends webinar, Migrating from BizTalk in 6 months. Here's how they did it. My name is Frends and I have the pleasure of being your host today. We have an exciting discussion ahead of us. If you tuned in, it means that you probably have had BizTalk in your life for a while and that you now are trying to find ways to part ways with it. So, as you well know, Microsoft will end its BizTalk support in 2028. So our webinar couldn't be more timely. It's time to start planning your migration and to make sure that you know exactly what you need before making a decision. That's why we're here today. What better way to do it than learning from those who have already done it, right? So let me introduce you to our speaker. Welcome, Magnus.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Magnus is an expert in integrations. He is a software developer at Skövde, a municipality right in the middle of Sweden's largest lakes and cities, if you know Nordic geography. Magnus has over 10 years of experience in system integrations with primary focus on BizTalk from Microsoft. Great to have you with us, Magnus.
Great to be here. Looking forward to it.
Can't wait to hear what you have to share with us. But before we dive right into some BizTalk talk, I want to encourage our audience to participate. You have a questions tab right below. We'll have a section dedicated to Q&A right in the end. So please send your questions throughout the webinar, and I will go over them in a bit. Shall we get started? Magnus, to kick things off, Skövde decided to fast-track the process and not wait for 2028. So what motivated the team to start planning the migration years before BizTalk's end of life?
Well, I would say if we back up a little bit, it's kind of started when we reorganized how we work with our development within Skövde kommun, the municipality. We felt like we needed to become a bit more agile and have a good tool set to support that way of working. So we did some research on the market, and then we ended up getting Frends as a platform. And luckily, we also, at roughly the same time, got involved in a pretty large project migrating the financial management system for 9 municipalities who had joined forces for operations of this system. And that, in a way, affected roughly, I would say, 75% of all our existing integrations, since the financial management system is so central. And we also saw that with the new system, there came a lot of new circumstances. And we had also decided that Frends was the platform we were going to use to go forward when building integrations. So we built all the new integrations that were needed for this project with using Frends. And this also leveraged our migration from BizTalk in a way. It kind of gave us a real boost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if I'm sure the audience right now has, of course, been thinking about this. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. So what would you say that for them, like, why should they be start talking about it now? Like, why is it important to do it now?
Yeah, well, 2028 might seem far away, but things have a tendency to take a lot of calendar time. Even if it's not technically difficult, it might be organizational issues. You might need to contact a lot of people, do investigations to understand all the needs for your integrations going forward. So it will probably take a lot more calendar time that you would expect if you haven't done this before. I would say that's kind of what I felt, that unexpected amount of calendar time compared to the actual technical building and tasks like that.
Mm-hmm. And it is a big project, like you were saying. So, and from what I heard, you were able to finalize it quite quickly once it was prioritized. So what did your setup look like before you migrated?
Yeah, we had of course, a BizTalk 2016 environment running roughly 200 some odd integrations. Fairly simple integrations, I would say, not a lot of mappings between different formats. I believe we had just one orchestration, for example, for one particular tricky mapping. We used BizTalk 360 for monitoring the solution. And the way that setup looked is due to how the municipalities work. Usually you have hundreds of different IT systems, niche systems for different operational tasks in different branches of the municipalities. So that requires a lot of integrations. Also pretty many legacy systems, older systems that have been around since forever, and not perhaps the most modern integration interfaces. Lots of file exports and imports and things like that. But to support this, we had a couple of custom pipelines built for us for BizTalk with some functionality for example, PGP encryption, handling some compression and decompression, tamper protections for data exchange with banks and parties like that, and some macros for renaming files and things like that. So to sum it up, it wasn't the largest BizTalk environment per se, but we had, I would say, a lot of integrations.
Yeah, and I'm sure people watching are thinking like about their own setups and all the artifacts and C# code that they have behind their processes in their BizTalk environments. So does it mean that they're going to lose it all, like all of the work, and then start from scratch?
No, definitely not. If you're going into Frends, you could take full advantage of the C# code that you already have. You should probably have access already to the source code for your BizTalk integrations, so it shouldn't be a problem to get into the source. And you could, if you wanted to take that route, do a one-to-one migration. Probably, I wouldn't say that you can copy paste everything straight over, because there's quite a difference between how you will build a BizTalk pipeline or an orchestration compared to how you would build it in Frends or using custom tasks for Frends. But you would have a really, really good starting point to start from, I would say. So the artifacts that you have, you could probably use most of it in a good way. So you don't have to throw everything away and start from scratch if you don't want to.
Yeah, and that's not what you did, right? You took a slightly different route. You wanted a fresh start. So why was that?
Yeah, exactly. The why is we kind of felt that when we got the Frends platform and saw what it could do for us, we wanted to take full advantage of the low code possibilities and visualizing integration processes, both for ourselves to improve troubleshooting and documentation, but also at least in the longer run, we're not really there yet, but we're working on it. Being able to visualize the integration flows for the business users, the end users who require the integrations, and having them understand the integrations by looking at it. And you could even go as far as to say you could copy paste the integration process picture of it and paste it into the business process, and it will fit pretty well in there. So logically, they can follow along and see, okay, this is how our integrations work. And they could probably even understand the different kinds of errors that could possibly happen and be involved in a whole different way. So we didn't take the route of migrating one-to-one. We wanted to enable everyone to understand, or even perhaps be able to create their own integrations, and also at the same time minimize the amount of code. If we don't need to use code, and we don't usually, there's a lot of good pre-built tasks coming with Frends and community tasks as well that others have built. So we could accomplish the same things in Frends without using even a single line of code, usually, not always. And then we felt like, yeah, this is good in the long run. We don't have to keep a lot of C# code up to date. as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
an added benefit, I would say. We did
Mm-hmm.
reuse a little bit of code. It would have been wasteful if we didn't. There were a couple of tamper protection routines and things like that, and some mappings. We of course we looked at the map. We didn't want to redo those. So a little bit of copy and a little bit of paste, but we sort of rewrote it using a newer .NET framework version, .NET
Mm-hmm.
version in using Frends.
Mm-hmm. And you
Uh,
mentioned added benefit. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I would say how we were even able to do this. I think the question was two parts. It was why and what was the key element to actually doing it. I think the biggest key element was that we sat down really early on, me and the architect at the time, and we thought about what are our basic flavors of integrations, if we can categorize them somehow. What do they look like now, and what do we see today and in the coming 3 to 5 years? What do we want them to look like in Frends? And then we sketched them out with literal pens on a drawing board. Okay, this is the process for this, and this is the process for that, and okay, how do we fit this into Frends? And actually found that it was pretty easy to take the drawing from the sketchboard and just rebuilding it in Frends as it's called a sub process in Frends. If you're familiar with that platform already, it's a way to group things and functionality together logically, so it's reusable and you can send in parameters to it and reuse it from different integrations. So that was, I would say, the key element. A lot of research early on, defining flavors of integrations, and then building reusable components in Frends, so we could easily stamp out the new integrations when we need them.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the added benefits before. How do you evaluate these benefits of moving away from BizTalk? Was it a matter of saving time, of saving resources?
Yeah, the greatest benefit I have felt, I think all the team has felt, is a lot shorter time to market. We can go very quickly today from an idea to a prototype to a deployed integration solution, or sometimes go quickly from an idea to a scrapping it because it was a bad idea. But we can move swiftly, and that saves a lot of time, and it also at the same time enables us to deliver a lot of integrations over the same time period as before. It also the platform lets us utilize the different skill sets among us developers. Some of us are more inclined to perhaps .NET developments. Some come from other backgrounds, but the platform lets us utilize all those skills in a better way than we felt that we could using BizTalk, which sort of demanded more specific knowledge. So it saves, it saves time, and it enables us to release a lot more value to businesses in a shorter amount of time. And also, it makes us being able to move a little bit more or a lot more independently. We don't usually need to wait for any external help. We can solve things ourselves now when we need it.
Mm-hmm. And you had been working with BizTalk for a long time. When I introduced you, I said that your primary focus was BizTalk. And I know a lot of people have built their careers around it too. So how was it, like as a developer, to go from BizTalk to another solution? In your case, Frends.
Yeah, I would say it was sort of liberating. With BizTalk, you kind of felt a little bit boxed in. It's been a solid platform. It's worked great for us for years. But when we started feeling that we needed to move quicker and be more agile, and perhaps broaden our toolbox, and being able to deliver a little bit different kind of integrations. We see a trend in the market that a lot of systems are moving to the cloud, and they're suddenly starting to expose newer types of APIs. And you have all the AI hype that's going on. So the system flora, so to speak, starting to look a bit different, and the possibilities, the circumstances for integrating is also changing rapidly. So I would say we could probably have done it technically with BizTalk, but it would have taken an enormous amount of effort, and we would have needed very, very specific skill set. So I would say it felt, the summary word for it for me is liberating.
That's fascinating, and I'm sure you've collected many learnings throughout this process. But what is the one thing that people should know before they head into their own BizTalk migration process?
I would pick making sure that you have done the groundwork before even starting on thinking about the technical aspects. I call it knowing the who's and the whys for each integration. Because in BizTalk, obviously you already have all the technical details of your current setup. And that's one thing, that's really good starting point. But being able to explain these integrations in the form of value for your business, that will probably help you make the smartest choices with any new platform you choose. So don't let old technological decisions from the past limit how you think about going forward with your integrations. So the groundwork, do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, we talked a lot about legacy technology today. We saw how careers have been evolving as new and better technologies are developed. And I'd like to focus a bit on this new versus legacy technology topic, because it's something, yeah, it came up during our chat, is in the news, and it all goes back to we are creatures of habit in the end. And we tend to get attached to the things that we're familiar with, even when they stop serving us like they used to. And then we miss the opportunity to find the solutions that will not only do what they did, like deliver what the other solution used to, but also like improve metrics across the board. And it looks like that's what happened with you. Like how would you evaluate and see these improvements?
Yeah, well, I would say that there are a lot of factors there, but being able to move forward and not feel limited by what you've had before. I respect totally that you can feel attached to the legacy platforms and the solutions you've built. They're probably really good. But the market is changing, everything is changing. Integrations need to change. You need to change if you want to stay with it. I'm afraid I've had to accept that, and you're probably gonna have to do it too. And you're never gonna have to worry about being out of that kind of work. The work is just kind of evolving for you, and still the basic principles are still the same. I would say if you're a seasoned BizTalk developer and you start using Frends, in the beginning it'll feel a bit, of course, new and unfamiliar, but you'll find under the hood you can think about integrations in the same way, even if you don't build them exactly the same. But you still have your streams, and if you want them, and yeah, so it shouldn't be scary. Hopefully, it should feel exciting. I would hope.
We've had a few talks before our webinar, and I think the excitement that you have with all of this is really nice to see, and I think it defines a lot of like your energy throughout the process.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been I would lie if I said it wasn't a lot of work, of course, and at times we were, of course, thinking how are we going to solve this in a good way, but it all went really well, and I would say we're really happy with the results today, and we're only moving faster and faster.
Yeah. This is great. I think, yeah, you shared a lot of valuable insights, but I want to also make sure that we have time to answer as many questions as possible from our audience. Let me see, where should we start? Ivan, is it possible to copy paste XSLT, for example?
Yeah, sort of. I would say you could reuse the XSLTs if you have the mappings from BizTalk. Absolutely, there are tasks for transforming XML in with Frends, and you. I'm not. I can't say that you 100% could just copy and paste it and it's all fine, but it would be a really good starting point for mappings. Yeah.
And Rika wants to know, what are the prerequisites that you did prior to starting the change from BizTalk integration? Fit gap analysis, data mapping?
Yeah, we haven't put it in those terms, I would say internally, but of course we did look at data mappings. What do we have today? Does it look the same? And that was the groundwork I was talking about, I guess. Why does this exist, and what does it actually do for the businesses processes? So yeah, a lot of data mapping, of course, making sure that everything, the end result is what's needed. A lot of the times we ended up building very similar integrations using Frends that we had in BizTalk, and a few of them were rebuilt completely. And then, of course, a lot of them were obsolete due to the migration to the completely new financial management system as well.
And follow up, is there any criteria that you use to decide that it is that you were ready for migrating or integrating using Frends?
Yeah, just the I would say just the feeling that we felt ready, that we had all the technical details, that we had all the contact persons needed, that we have spoken to them, that they were, if needed, that they were ready to assist us if we had to have downtime, which we rarely did. But then it was on a case-by-case basis. We didn't do any big bangs with the migrations from BizTalk. We did actually probably one at a time, or perhaps 3, 4, 5 at a time integrations, because they were related to the same systems. It was kind of easy to do 5 at a time for the same system. But when we decide, okay, we have all the technical details, we're sure that it's going to perform the same way as it has been doing in BizTalk, then we okayed it in our sprint board. Okay, the developer can go ahead and build the integration. So yeah.
And we didn't really talk about risk management, and there's a good question about it from Jolene. What measures did you put in place to manage risks and avoid disruptions during the migration?
We, of course, all this I've already been talking about. Making sure that we know everything that we think we need to know, but then you know anything can happen. You missed something, of course. We made sure to keep the possibility to roll back to BizTalk at any moment, which was I don't think we ever used it, but BizTalk was still there. We could disable integrations in BizTalk and enable them in Frends, and have a discussion with everyone involved and check, is everything working okay? Looking at logs, okay, everything is all right. Okay, now we can decommission the integration from BizTalk. Had we seen any issues, we could have just undeployed from Frends and redeployed it in BizTalk and been back to operation in a matter of minutes. So that was perhaps the biggest part. Of course, all the other technical details, backups and stuff like that. But I would say really careful planning, knowing all the details that you possibly can think of that you need to know, and then also added to that, being able to roll back to BizTalk at any moment. That made us feel that we have covered enough of the risk to be able to go forward.
And you mentioned having BizTalk as a backup if needed. And Iris wants to know, what challenges have you encountered during the decommissioning of BizTalk that the audience should be aware of?
Well, the challenges, I think there weren't a lot of them, but they were all probably related to finding the correct owner of integrations. A lot of these integrations have been around since before BizTalk 2016, since perhaps 2012, I think. And people in the business, they leave the municipality and they're replaced by some new person, and perhaps we don't get the new contact details. So the biggest challenge was finding the right people to talk to. Okay, is this your integration? Because the guy who ordered it, he stopped working for us 6 years ago. What do we do now? Do you need it? And then perhaps even discussing, does this integration do what your business needs now? Because in 5, 6, 10 years, a lot of things can happen in the business processes as well. Yeah.
And as a municipality, there are different things that you have to take into consideration as well that a business doesn't usually. And we've got a question saying like there is a responsibility to be careful with resources. How did you make sure that this migration was had like a responsible use of resources?
Yeah, that also comes back to the groundwork and the planning, I would say. Really careful planning, making sure we don't do silly mistakes to start with. And of course, we don't destroy the integrations and make the data go corrupt. But also, I would say one way of taking responsibility is to not use more resources than needed. And we could actually do all this ourselves at times when we felt that we had a bit of room in our sprint board. We could do a couple of these migrations when it suited us. So we were able to continue our regular delivery of integrations and automations, but at the same time do this migration ourselves without the need of any external competence, I would say, at all. So that made sure that we didn't have to purchase anything or use the taxpayer dollars or kronors in some irresponsible way. So cost effective and good planning and managing the risks. Yeah.
And I think all of those hold true for the private sector as well. Like you have to be mindful of how you spend money and resources, and make sure that your developers are using their time wisely into the things that they actually need to be working on, and not redoing stuff. Or let me see, what else do we have? We have some more technical questions. Martin asked, how are you handling persistence during processing? Have you been able to replicate the BizTalk suspend resume functionality, where, for example, a failed web service call in the middle of an orchestration can be resumed and the processing continue from that point?
Yeah, well, this is the interesting part. I would say we have, but at the same time, we didn't have a lot of the orchestrations in the BizTalk environment to start with. But of course, we also see this kind of challenge, and I would say we use a combination of caching and shared state tasks in Frends, and we try to be clever with monitoring. And I would also say that we don't feel that we're fully there yet. It can be improved. It's something we're thinking a lot about, how we can improve. In general, I would say one thing to think a lot about is this: how do you handle exceptions, and how do you handle monitoring? The tools are there in Frends. It's just sometimes, when you have the huge toolbox, you can feel like, okay, which tool fits this problem? We could use this one, and then we're going down this route, and we could use this one and we're going down a completely different route. So I would say we're using some of the tools in Frends to try to manage this, as I said, caching and shared state tasks and monitoring. But it's possible we're gonna look into different ways to handle it in the future, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And another one on the more technical side, how are you handling XML and JSON in Frends, since it is a big part of BizTalk?
I wouldn't say we're handling it any differently. in Frends than we did in BizTalk. We don't have a lot of mappings of XML. We have a couple of XSLTs in place. Just your regular transforms. JSON is everywhere in our integrations, and say we handle it with ease. We can handle them as objects, J objects or J arrays or whatever in the inside the integrations, passing them between different tasks, and you can also trace them in the logs if you need to. So I would say, if anything, we're handling them with a lot more confidence in Frends than perhaps we did in BizTalk. Yeah, easier to track and easier to troubleshoot, I would say.
I got something else from Martin, schemas specifically, not just XML and JSON.
Oh, okay, so schemas, yeah, validate. A couple of those. I think it's mostly related to bank stuff at the moment. I would say it's not a problem. We can validate XML against schemas and JSON as well. I can't say we've had any issues with it, and at the same time I can't say that we're using it extensively. Maybe it's like 5% of our integrations that have this at the moment. Probably more in the future. But it hasn't been a problem, validation against schemas. No, it works.
And Robin wants to know if the pre-study time was included in the 6 months.
Oh, yeah. It's a bit difficult to sum this up because it happened over a longer calendar time period, but the actual work, where we actually did some work, was in shorter bursts. So yeah, but yeah, I would say that was included.
We have time for one final question. If you in the audience ask something and we didn't have time to go over it, don't worry. Our team will do what they can to support you in getting the information that you need. But to wrap things up, Sandra wants to know, is there anything you would do differently if you were kicking off the project now?
Yeah, at the time when we did this, most of the work anyway, the templates functionality that's available in Frends now wasn't a thing. So we went all in on sub-processes, and that's worked very well for us. But if I redid it now, I would look into the templates functionality in Frends for sure. I think that will make it even more manageable over time for you, and ease things. To spin up a new integration in a matter of minutes if you want to.
So that would impact time as well.
Yeah, definitely. Manageability and time taken to deploy.
Nice. I'd say that's the perfect way to end this webinar. I hope our audience has found the discussion as insightful as I did. Thank you so much, Magnus, for talking to us today. And before I let you say goodbye, some main takeaways. So if I could summarize today's discussion, the main takeaways for those that are migrating from BizTalk could be explained as like a clear plan makes all the difference. So the municipality of Hovde mapped things, identified priorities, and developed a step-by-step approach. Migration doesn't need to be a big bang. Instead of trying to move everything at once, the transition can happen piece by piece and with a scalable approach to everything, looking in the long term as well. So you can reduce risks and it's easier to manage. And to finalize, take advantage of the need to migrate and innovate. So choosing an alternative to BizTalk can be the opportunity that you need to reassess your whole integration landscape, and that can make things easier, faster, and more transparent for you. Is that a fair assessment, Magnus?
I would definitely say so. Very good assessment.
Thank you once again for taking the time to talk to us today, sharing your learnings and experience in your migration from BizTalk.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure. You made it easy. And of course, thank you to our audience for tuning in, engaging with us, and sharing your questions. I hope to see you at the next Frends webinar.